This is the Troll Patrol. Live. With Justin. Freakin.
That did not fix the Twitch chat. I'm incredibly sorry, guys. I figured, it just needs a reboot. I took the channel off of Restream and redid it. Reauthorized everything. I rebooted everything you could possibly reboot. Oh, I don't know what's going on, guys. Give you a fuck you in the Discord work. There's Justin Freakin in the Discord. Twitch not wanting to work tonight. Sorry, guys. That's wild. I think I'm broadcasting on Twitch. Yep, I'm on. Oh, Lady Gaga's behind me. Meat Cakes, Warlord. Hey guys, I can see you if I've got Twitch up over here. You know what? I have another monitor now. I'll just pull it up over here. Oh. Well, usually I keep the thing that has everything, that shows me every different platform's comments, Warlord. That's why I can't do the mod shit over on Twitch. That's why I look to you guys. YouTubers, the Twitch chat is telling me just to completely ignore you guys. Just pay attention to Twitch. I think that's absurd. I gotta pay attention to everybody. I gotta spread the love around equally. But also, I don't like having you guys over here. Feels like you're looking at me over my shoulder. Weirds me out. Let me get my background up. Like, none of this is right. All of this. I almost just switched to the freaking fun time fucking around stream. But like, people expect Troll Patrol content. I want to give them Troll Patrol content. I want to at least do a somewhat, even if some nights it's just a cursory overview of the news. It's my duty. I said duty.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Oh, yeah, I wasn't off that screen yet. That's right. I wasn't ready to use my toys. I didn't have the meme pulled up yet. I guess I owe you guys a new meme. Yeah, damn you technology, right? The Twitch chat wants me to ignore you guys. I've got Twitch chat up over here. We'll just have to deal with it. I'll check Twitch chat periodically. Everybody else shows up over here. It's Twitch is the bastard child tonight. That's mean of me, isn't it? It's mean of me to adopted children into loving families. Call them a bastard. Fuck. Off to a great somebody cancel Justin. Where's my cancel Justin? It's not just you, Ray. Twitch is here. You just can't see them. They're talking to me over here. Unfortunately, we can't interact with each other. That's usually the beauty. Yes, thank you, Warlord, for the cancel, Justin. That's usually the beauty of this show. It's like, no matter what platform you're on, you can interact with other people. Like, can we... Oh, it's just you on YouTube? Fair enough. I'm being silenced, but you guys are being silenced. I'm not being silenced. I'm everywhere, man. Yeah, you, not me. Being silenced by the man. I try not to keep the like suggested people up there just because like it might throw what's up, Ida? Catch everybody up, like Twitch isn't showing up tonight, so don't think like there's nobody else here. Like I have to talk to them separately apparently. And if anybody on Twitch has something to say to YouTube, you guys tell me and I'll tell YouTube. And if anybody on YouTube has something to say to Twitch, I mean, I guess Twitch can see what you're saying on the screen, even though it's not being like restreamed into their chat, which usually happens. Twitch will usually see YouTube comments in their chat, which I think is really cool. I think that's one of the awesome features about this show. Does Facebook work? Though we should all be quitting Facebook in protest. Look at me, I can't type. Facebook work? Is it showing up? Facebook doesn't seem to. Oh, nope. Justin Mullins in the chat says, "Does Facebook work?" Justin Mullins, good evening. How are you doing? It would not let me have any sort of variation of Justin Freakin. It made me be my real name. Which when right wingers find out, they think they're funny. Yeah, I don't know any of these people. I don't know any of these fucking people. That's why I usually keep the people you may know like hidden. I try to. Just in case it actually suggests because my real friends will come over here and be like, why does he have another profile? Why is he not friends with me? But I'm not friends with anybody on this profile because I don't want their shit to show up. If I go trolling on the Facebook, I want it to just be Vice, PragerU, KRNV News, Vermin Supreme. Oh yeah, let's do the news. Fucking shit. Okay, for those of you who are unaware, Warlord made a Discord channel of Cancel Justin. It's just clips. Just clips of things that you could get me canceled for. He now has one that Justin hates the Twitch viewers. Bonjour, Sky Comet, Meat Cakes, Warlord. Love all you guys on Twitch over there. I wish you were showing up in the chat here tonight. Feel free to hop in the Discord if you want to actually chat and it to show up on screen and make it easier for me. That can be a thing, because apparently it's just Twitch that's not showing up. It's just Twitch that's not showing up. All right, let me give you a new meme real fast. I'm gonna run down what we're gonna talk about when it comes to the news. And then we'll actually do the news. Gotta give you a new one. This is not so much. Oh shit! There's the Discord. There's Warlord. Cancel Justin, little bitch. However you want to phrase it. Not so much a meme as it is a pwn in a Twitter response. Charlie Kirk tweeted out how many of the perverts whose names are written in Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book have had their homes raided by the FBI since the Ghislaine Maxwell trial concluded. Little Benny Pooh tweeted back at least one. It has a picture of Donnie Boy with his arm around Jeffrey Epstein. Mandy, good evening. Love your face. We're having some technical difficulties here tonight. I've got Twitch up over here because Twitch comments are not showing up anywhere except on Twitch. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, Meat Cakes. Don't tell me what love can do. Oh, I threw a little 90s Van Halen on you there. The Patriot News outlet. I usually go over to Patriot News when it's time for old Donnie Boy to have a rally. Patriot News or Right Side Broadcasting or something usually has the Donald Trump rallies. All right, let's get to the news. Oh, I was going to run it down real fast. That's right. Oh, oof. All right, at the end of the show, we're going to talk about Matt Walsh's 1000th episode. Matt Walsh gave me one of the biggest breaks in my career when he played a clip of the Troll Patrol on his show, so I want to honor him on his 1000th episode.
Justin FREAKIN, the formidable voice in the culture.
What, like an Ozzy Osbourne, like a fucking Black Sabbath kind of day? Is that what you're talking about? So after a back and forth in court, Trump staff from 2016 can now talk and say what they saw in the campaign. Expect several books. Speaking of talking, in Trump world, it seems there was an informant to the FBI that told them exactly what documents Trump was keeping at Mar-a-Lago and where to find them. In a strange twist of fate, a certain president signed a law making the taking of classified records from the White House a felony. This was in response to Hillary Clinton's email scandal. That president who signed the law, who they now might have broke the law, was Donald Trump. Signed the law that might have made him a felon. Also, if he was a felon, he would be disqualified from running for public office. The FBI apparently accessed footage from Mar-a-Lago. They seized 15 boxes. In New York, Donald Trump pled the fifth multiple times. Oh my God. The smoke detector is beeping. I'm going to have to go take the smoke detector down. Wild story of the Iranians plotting to execute multiple government officials, including John Bolton and Mike Pompeo. Plus, we're going to talk about abortion, a story that's going to piss you off out of Nebraska. And the Democrats have that momentum going into the midterms. We're going to hear from Amy Klobuchar, who was on MSNBC, to talk about how the Democrats are going to fare going into the midterm. Donald Trump attacked people who plead the fifth. Donald Trump attacked people who are raided by the FBI or under investigation by that's what he said. People who are under investigation by the FBI should be president or something like that. Oh, God. See, it's all, like, current news. It's hard to find, like, this quote from, like, 2016. I'll have to dig that up for you guys and find out exactly what the quote was. How a search of Trump's Mar-a-Lago revealed a secret Twitter account for What? That's a story I didn't see. A secret Twitter account for GOP Senator Mike Lee. Senator Mike Lee is more Donald Trump-like of the two senators in the state, the other being Senator Mitt Romney, but it's Lee who is up for re-election this year against former Republican Evan McMullin, who previously ran for president in Utah. Behind the scenes, however, Lee has been using an unofficial Twitter account that has gone unnoticed by the public, but appears to have been promoted by some far-right activists. It was something noticed after Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort was searched by the FBI for classified information. Lee's social media accounts were dead silent. Nothing that is rare for a politician to be quiet about anything unless they're pleading the Fifth Amendment rights. Reporters started searching. What the fuck does this story have to do with anything? Lee's personal Facebook page links to a Twitter thread from a Twitter account, Based Mike Lee, that was created in July, the report said. Based Mike Lee! The account, full of attempted snark and sarcasm, at one point had a profile picture of young Mike Lee with digital sunglasses superimposed on his face, a reference to the deal with it meme that was popular in the early 2010s. Based Mike Lee. But before we get to any of that, let's do election. Hold on. I might have to run in there and take that fire or smoke detector down, because my God, it's beeping. In Lee we trust. Nobody trusts Mike Lee. Live primary results, Tuesday's key races. Last updated just a minute ago. What were we looking at here? Let's actually go down here to the report. Oh, do we not have analysis? It is beeping. I doubt you guys can hear it though. Come the fuck on. I thought we'd still have the blog. All right, let's look at the key races here. This is the governor's race in Vermont. Phil Scott won the Republican primary despite Vermont's solid blue hue in national politics. Voters have a history of ticket splitting in state-level races. Governor Phil Scott, a Republican, is running for a fourth two-year term and facing little threat. That is the governor's primary. In Wisconsin, Republicans seeking to challenge Governor Tony Evers this fall include Tim Michels, a Trump-endorsed construction executive. Michels wins the Republican primary. In U.S. Senate races, Leora Levy wins the Republican primary. I do believe she is a Trump-backed candidate. We'll go on to challenge Senator Richard Blumenthal. Yes, the moderate won out. The plot truest. Smokey is trying to kill Justin by fire. Could very well be. Mandela Barnes. This is going to be one of the races to watch come the fall. There wasn't much of a race to watch here in the primary. But Mandela Barnes will be going up against Ron Johnson, and this could be a pickup for Democrats in the Senate in Wisconsin. A very purple Wisconsin. Because Ron Johnson is a stupid fucking senator. In Minnesota's 1st Congressional District, Brad Finstad, a former state lawmaker, is the Republican nominee in the special general election contest to fill the remainder of the term of Representative Jim Hargdon, a Republican who died in February. Mr. Finstad is favored in this red district, but he's facing a strong Democrat, Jeff Ettinger, the retired chief executive of Hormel Foods, an iconic locally based company that has helped him campaign as a pro-business moderate. So he beat Ettinger, but Ettinger came really fucking close. Minnesota's 5th Congressional District, Ilhan Omar barely fends off a challenger. 50.3% of the vote to 48.2% of the vote for Don Samuels, a so-called moderate who I guarantee was backed by AIPAC. You can see Omar won the majority of the district, but Samuels apparently carried a wealthy suburb, it looks like. Vermont at-large congressional district primary results. Becca Balint wins the Democratic primary. Liam Madden wins the Republican primary. The Democratic primary for Peter Welch's seat at the state's single at-large House member is the most competitive of the year. A three-candidate field includes two women with strong resumes, Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray and Becca Balint, the president pro tempore of the state Senate. If either advances to November and wins, Vermont would have its first female member of Congress. It looks like Balint will indeed be the first female member of Congress if she wins. Cicero, stark raving. Guys, I'm so sorry that your comments are not showing up over here on the screen. I have to have you up on a separate monitor. I even restarted the stream in an attempt to fix that, and it didn't work. So my apologies. Your emotes will come across on the screen. But unfortunately, I will not see what you're saying until I look over my shoulder. Rips, she says. You know, that sounds like a brilliant idea. Good to see you, Star Craving. Potato. Amnestic. What is going on? Are you really hurt? Have you injured yourself? Are you fucking with me? Cause I don't want you if you krilled your ankle or your appendix is ruptured or some shit like that, that would suck. I would not be into that. But if there's a punchline coming, or you're going to say, I hurt your feelings by doing X, hey, I'm all about that. There was just a cat here, I swear. Maybe I'm seeing things. Maybe I'm seeing ghosts. Gargles always said there was ghosts everywhere. I don't believe in ghosts. But fuck, I'm gonna have to go deal with the smoke detector, which has a battery. Unfortunately, there is no cat. There's a Smokey over here. I am high. That is a thing. Maynard, I don't even know if Maynard's my cat anymore. He's kind of abandoned me. You all want to hear something funny about pleading the fifth? I would love to hear something funny about it. There's a quote. Somebody famous has a quote about pleading the fifth. There's a famous person that has a quote about pleading the fifth. All right, look. I am going to bring a cat back when I come back. I've got to go deal with this smoke detector. We're gonna go back to our regular graphics here. We're done with election news. When we come back, we're gonna talk about how the Democrats have the momentum going into the midterms. All kinds of Trump news. Apparently there's a mole in Trump world that tipped off the FBI where everything was at. Some people on Twitter have speculated it was Barron, who didn't even look up for him on his Xbox. Told him exactly where the safe was. I'd believe it. Other people have speculated that it might be Melania, because she was afraid that she would get buried at a golf course for a tax write-off. Plus, it was Matt Walsh's 1,000th episode, so we're going to pay homage to Matt Walsh tonight. All that and more when we come back from this commercial here on the Troll Patrol Live.
Now we turn to YouTuber Justin FREAKIN. The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the culture. Uncensored and unfiltered political talk and debate from a leftist perspective. The day's top news stories and videos with astute social commentary.
Not high enough for this shit.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked, sick aesthetic.
Right-wingers are morons.
You brought back the wrong kind of fucking cake, you idiot.
I guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to Justin FREAKIN.
Yet you're like, we'll pray for somebody. You think you can telepathically communicate with a deity, and you have the audacity to say somebody else has a mental disorder. For the love of God. Hi, I'm Justin FREAKIN. I'm a leftist broadcaster and comedian, not liberal, leftist. And despite what you may have heard from right-wing propaganda, George Soros isn't handing out Soros bucks and funding people like me. There are no Koch brothers, Mercers, or any number of right-wing think tanks funding content on the left side of the spectrum the way they fund people like Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, and Dennis Prager. And YouTube doesn't monetize videos that are controversial or deal with politics unless you're someone like Steven Crowder. So this is an ultimatum. Become a patron. Support my Patreon, or I'm going to become a right-winger and get some of that easy money. You know for a fact that I could be bigger than Charlie Kirk or Jesse Lee Peterson.
Amazing!
All I have to do is talk about how I used to be an SJW snowflake, but the left went too far with their cultural Marxism, and Republicans are stupid enough to buy it, even though this video exists. And you know I'm right, so give me your money or I'm selling you out. I think that was enough time for the Twitch commercials. That's what I've been trying to catch the Twitch commercials. Do my commercials when Twitch is playing commercials, so nobody has to watch commercials during like a story you were interested in or something. I promise a meme. I always promise a meme when I come back. This isn't a meme, but this is a piece of artwork I made for the FREAKIN news. It cracked me up. This is the cops outside of Mar-a-Lago. The picture of Trump crying. It's weird that I just have all these pictures in my download folder of, I've got a million pictures of Trump just because I have to use them all the goddamn time. Different shit. I've got Dan Bongino in here. I got this picture here for some reason. I don't know why I have that. A meme I made of a friend of mine. I'll always be fine with the salmon tax. This Top Gun meme. Damn, look at that ass. Give Justin money. Nobody gets hurt. I fucked that song up. So bad. I need more pot. Hey, Star Craving, if you're still in here, hit the rips for me. Everybody else needs to get high too. Been one of those days. It's been one of those fucking days. Do you want to? Because I've been busy as fuck. I have so much work on my plate. But do you know what happened today? It stormed for like 2-3 fucking hours. When it storms, I'm worried about fucking power surges because I've lost so many pieces of equipment already. I shut everything fucking down, so I sat over here on my phone listening to a podcast for like 2 hours when I should have been working, making money. So now I gotta fucking make money tonight because like last night I was gonna do the song thing. I've got like Spin Magazine's 35 songs you haven't heard in the last 35 years. I don't even know what they are. I didn't look at them. I'm like, hey, we'll listen to it. We'll do a fucking around stream. We'll listen to it. No, I had so much shit to do last night. I couldn't fucking do it. We went so late. I'm like, no, I can't do that. I was going to do it tonight. But goddamn, I got so much fucking work to do. And I didn't get a chance to do it earlier today because of the storm. Oh, yeah. Death is art. Thank you for being a freaking follower. Star Craving. Keffels I am not up on what's going on with Keffels. Like we went over this last night. I think somebody sent me a video of it and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. Sometimes storms are awesome, Cicero, but like where I'm at, this area doesn't need any more storms. It's been flooding really bad. Technically, I call myself, Death is Art, I call myself King Troll of the Internet. Unfortunately, by the way, if you don't realize what's going on, my apologies, like Twitch is not showing up. All the other platforms are showing up on screen and in everybody else's chat. But like YouTube's not going over to Twitch, Twitch isn't going over to YouTube, and Twitch isn't showing up on the screen. So I'm having to like look over here at a different monitor to see what you guys in Twitch are saying. The man, Jeff Bezos, is trying to silence you. Hey, if you disagree with me, please, you can hop in the Discord. You can call in 917-830-4359. I would love to talk to you. We can have a civil discussion or we can trade barbs, whichever way you want to take it. It appears that I did miss a call, but it wasn't while we were on. It wasn't while the show was on. So, I don't know, guys. Oh, Cicero, I am glad that you were getting the rain then. Thank goodness you're getting the rain. I'm glad you're enjoying the storm. My opinions are that I'm fucking right. Well, I mean, the show is called The Troll Patrol. It was supposed to be me trolling on Facebook originally. That was the concept for the show. But I kept getting banned on Facebook to where I couldn't troll anybody. And that's still pretty much, hey, like still I'm pretty much banned at all times. I'm currently not at the moment. I'm not at the moment banned on Facebook. But as you can see, this matches up with Facebook over here, and I would live troll people, you know, call right-wingers morons. That was the premise of the show. But unfortunately, I kept getting banned, so now I just kind of read the news. Because I used to do the news for some radio stations. I wrote for a couple newspapers. I'm right, but I'm left. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. And you guys over here have no clue what Twitch is saying for me, like for that joke to make sense. It's just a bunch of chuds and baby boomers over on Facebook. I like Facebook. Oh shit, I still haven't taken rips from last time. Star Craving. I am a leftist, but I'm probably more centrist than most online leftists, it would appear. I'm probably more moderate than the chat. The chat tends to be more towards the anarchist, communist, like actual like hardcore leftist side. I'm still more of a I cover electoral politics. I've met Mitch McConnell. I fell asleep after doing meth all weekend during a Mitch McConnell speech. I can't. It's getting harder to name off because it's been 12 years now, 13 years, fucking 15. It's been 15 years since I've done the news. Like the only political figure I've met in the last little bit has been like Congressman Mo Brooks, who won't be a congressman very long. That's the thing. Like a lot of the politicians I've met aren't in politics anymore. It's amazing Mitch McConnell's still there. Meatcakes is economic left. Yes, Facebook still exists, and they're actually causing a lot of problems. We're going to get into that here in just a little bit. In Nebraska, Facebook turning over data in an abortion case. Very worrying to me. But we're going to cover that after we talk about the midterms.
Let's talk.
This is Amy Klobuchar. Going to tell us all about how the Democrats have the momentum going into the 2022 midterms coming up in about 3 months.
A bit about some legislation that you're hoping to get passed, including the Electoral Count Act, which we were talking about. Your party is close to passing the newly renamed Inflation Reduction Act. There are reports.
Did you say, oh, Jesus? Did you say, oh, Jesus?
Now that Senator Sinema has issues with the bill, what's your sense of...
Moggs, I love you.
Have you had a chance to speak to Kirsten Sinema about her concerns?
I've talked to her about other issues this week, including the Electoral Count Act, gay marriage. She's supportive putting that into law. And I know she's negotiating with Senator Schumer. She also is someone that believes in doing something about climate change. And her state's Arizona. They've got had issues with fires, heat, as you know, record temperatures. I think we'll get this done. But let's talk about what this bill will be and is.
Hide your staplers. She might throw one at you.
$300 billion in deficit reduction. And all these economists.
No. It's just you woke moralists trying to cancel a strong woman because she throws staplers at people's heads. Come on now.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
That's quite the frame I paused it on there. I'm sorry, Amy. I'm sure you're a lovely lady.
Someone that believes in doing something about climate change, and her state's Arizona. They've got had issues with fires, heat, as you know, record temperatures. I think we'll get this done. But let's talk about what this bill will be and is. This bill is the game changer. $300 billion in deficit reduction. And all these economists who've looked at it have said that's why it's called the Inflation Reduction Act. Number two, taking on pharmaceuticals. First time. I have been leading this effort for years. Finally, we're telling the pharma companies, no, you wrote into law this ban on
RB hitting the weed over here on Twitch.
That's going away. We're lifting it. Investment in climate change to the point that we're going to see a 40% reduction by the year 2030. So we are bullish and excited about this bill. We're going to get it done by this time next week. That bill will be done. And let's look at these other accomplishments, Allie. I'm sorry, but this is not just that the Republicans been extreme. It's we are getting things done. NATO just
barely
signed the treaty today and got that through the U.S. Senate. The burn pit. Our veterans finally are going to get the help that they need. We got that done despite Republicans messing around with it. We got these chips bill done.
Very cool and good.
now made in America. We're going to go way up with that number. So we're finally making the semiconductor chips that we need for our cars and for our phones. Gun safety legislation. Who thought that was ever possible? Well,
Warlord, is there something you can do to like refresh Restream bot? Is there something you can do to it over there? If you're still here, if there's a mod over there that knows what you might be able to do to Restream bot to like smack its ass and get it to do what it's supposed to do and show the Twitch comments, because really it is a pain in the ass, because like chat's really lively over here, guys. Twitch is not showing up over here. And it's kind of hard to keep up. And fuck Amy Klobuchar.
Chris Murphy did, and a number of other senators who've been working on this, including myself on closing the boyfriend loophole, worked with Republicans.
Cinema has no principles. I agree with you, Ray.
And got that done. The number 2 terrorists who, from 9/11, finally, and the president authorized this operation to take him down. It is day after day after day, we are accomplishing things for the people of this country. And so that's what I want people to take away. Yes, the Republicans have shown their true colors, but the Democrats, we're willing to work around the aisle, across the aisle when we can find common ground, and we have a president.
So, Death's Art said, show me a good clip of Trump being racist, and I'll call in right now. Interesting. Shit. I mean, I'll take the challenge, I guess. You probably won't find it acceptable. You won't accept it as a racist moment. Kind of like how, where he's mocking the handicapped reporter. None of the right wingers are like, no, they're not mocking. He's not mocking a handicapped reporter.
Which isn't even very often. I say, be very gentle. Please don't hurt him. We had a case where we had an African-American guy who was a fan of mine. Great fan, great guy. In fact, I want to find out what's going on with him. You know what look at my African-American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So we have an African-American.
That was Donald Trump during a campaign rally.
I mean, like, we could go on and on and on and on. Like, the fact that he praised the German fucking troops in World War II. The fact that, like, the only time he reads, it's fucking books about Hitler and Hitler's speeches. Like, fucking come the fuck on. His dad attended Klan rallies. He was cited for racist policies in housing. But I mean, racism isn't really my focus because, it's something that it should be called out when it needs to be called out, but it's also not my focus because it's not my place to talk about it because I'm a white man. And there are a lot better sources of information on racism than me. He really wanted to have Nazi-style gender. And another thing that came out, I didn't put it on the list for today, was that he wanted to have a military parade and that he didn't want any disabled veterans in the military parade. He thought that didn't reflect well on him. I'm not fucking joking. This man's a fucking monster. The dude's a monster. I mean, a malignant narcissist if there ever was one, possibly a psychopath. So I don't know what anyone's fucking, someone coming in and trying to tell me to prove to them that Trump is who he says he is. I mean, he literally says it. Like, you just have to listen to what the man says. Like, you're suffering from, like, the emperor has no clothes kind of syndrome. I do not think that he literally meant that he owned the person. No. I do not think that at all, but I think it was very racist of him to be like, oh, see, this African American supports me. That's racist. That's fucking racist. I mean, what you said is actually insane. I just said I didn't think that. Are you an idiot? Are you dumb? I thought you were gonna call in if I presented you with some kind of evidence. Or you can hop in Discord if you are more technologically inclined. If not, we're gonna go on doing the news because you're kind of boring. And nobody over here can see what you're saying. Oh, tell us how you troll. I like that. I think this is good evidence that you're a dumb fuck. You should change your screen name to Dumb Fuck is Art. Oh shit. Sorry, did not mean to hit the microphone with my bong. Of course it makes sense. I always make sense. I get called a troll, but I don't think what I do is technically trolling. I think what I do is like I'm mansplaining or nerd-splaining. My mom likened me to like the dude from Criminal Minds. It's always like butting in and like, oh no, but this is. And hey, this is the most racist thing that you could say that Trump did. After the Central Park 5 were exonerated, he still called for the death penalty. I love it how right-wingers are like, all you do is attack. All you do is attack. Well, because you think you're smart. Like, you think you're not a dumb fuck, right? Please, call in and prove it. Otherwise, we're going to move on, dumb fuck. But that's not all I do. If I prove that you're a dumb fuck, then that's not all I do. You see what I'm saying? I proved that you were a dumb fuck, and then I called you a dumb fuck. So it's clearly not all I do. See, all you guys resort to name calling. But no, I proved you're a dumb fuck and then called you a dumb fuck. You see, that's different. And then you got your feelings hurt and you're like, oh, you called me a name. Oh, boo hoo hoo. I wish you motherfuckers could feel embarrassment. Please learn to feel embarrassment. Anyway, on with the news. Because, like, YouTube has no clue what's going on over here. I didn't even let Amy Klobuchar finish. Fuck her. Not literally, just figuratively. A Nebraska I need to hit the content warning for this one.
Facebook is being blamed.
This is a wild-ass story, and it's gonna piss you off. A Nebraska mother and teenager face charges in teen's abortion after police obtain their Facebook DMs.
For a teen girl and her mom facing criminal charges related to an illegal abortion. Good evening. I'm Sarah Donchi.
And I'm Ryan Yamamoto. We begin with a new online protest and boycott of Facebook.
And this is just the start of a deluge of these news stories.
The Palo Alto company handed over user personal messages to law enforcement, which then led to charges related to illegal abortions.
KPIX5's Ann Makovic has more on the privacy concerns about all of this.
A teenage girl and her mom in Nebraska are facing criminal charges following the teen's abortion. Police got their Facebook messages about it through a search warrant. So a lot of people are concerned now about further implications now that abortion is no longer federally protected. The mom and daughter are facing charges that they obtained abortion pills and the teen took them after the 20-week period where abortion is allowed in Nebraska.
Wow. Wow. Fuck. This is shitty. This makes me very sad for the country that we live in right now.
Of the fetus. Well, they both pleaded not guilty. Now, some background on this case. We know the two were charged before Roe v. Wade was rolled back, and this would have been illegal regardless. But the case is demonstrating how messages that some people may think are private could be used to enforce laws prohibiting abortion. Facebook stores most of its users' messages unencrypted on its servers. The company has a long history of complying with law enforcement requests for its data. Now, on this situation, Facebook sent out a statement saying, in part, nothing in the valid warrants we received from local law enforcement in early June prior to the Supreme Court decision mentioned abortion. In the meantime, Meta has thrown its support behind employees seeking abortions, even pledging to help cover the travel costs for those who need to go out of state.
It just shows you how two-faced companies are. It just shows you how fucking two-faced companies are.
And moments later, one of the women says she was...
What the fuck? What the fuck? This was not on my list. This just autoplay, but we're watching whatever the fuck this is.
Threatened with sedation.
KPIX5 reporter Andrea Borbas.
Cell phone video shows police officers forcing protesters out of Chase Center, and moments later, one of the women says she was trapped in an ambulance and being threatened with sedation.
KPIX5 reporter Andrea Borbas spoke to the women about what happened next.
3 seconds to get a shot off.
It was during the 5th game of the NBA.
Cops being cops.
Protesters Kareem McKnight and Magda Piasecki attempted to unfurl banners on the floor of Chase Center that read, "Overthrow."
Hell yeah, good for them.
The pair called it an act of civil disobedience. This is video of them getting dragged out of Chase Center by security. That's when Kareem says things took a turn.
I was dragged out. I was choked. I was hogtied. And then a sergeant from the SFPD came up to me and threatened to have me sedated.
Kareem throw Roe, hell no. The pair called it an
3 seconds to get a shot off.
It was during the 5th game of the NBA Finals that abortion rights protesters Kareem McKnight and Magda Piasecki attempted to unfurl banners on the floor of Chase Center that read, "Overthrow Roe, hell no." The pair called it an act of civil disobedience. This is video of them getting dragged out of Chase Center by security. That's when Kareem says things took a turn.
I was dragged out. I was choked. I was hogtied. And then a sergeant from the SFPD came up to me and threatened to have me sedated.
Kareem claims threats then turned to reality.
Then the SF Fire Department came. They strapped me to a gurney and they wheeled me to their van, to the emergency vehicle. And while I was on the ground, handcuffed in front of the emergency vehicle, one of the firefighters came with a needle towards me, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I flinched and I said, no.
This
Mine actually are on by default if we were on YouTube, but we're on like the CBS site. Yeah. I noticed. But like, it's because it's on the CBS side, it doesn't have captions. But you should have, if you're on Twitch, you should have captions on Twitch. I have a program. I try to have the captions on whatever source we're watching, but I have a program and it's set to capture everything, so it should be giving you captions of the video as well.
An ambulance heading to Kaiser on Geary, speaking to two of the medics.
Yeah, I wanted to be as accessible as possible, so I went and found a plug-in that did captions, because I understand where people. I don't personally do captions because it takes my eye away from the. As like a filmmaker, I really appreciate the visual, but I understand why people do appreciate captions. So I want to be able to give people that option, so I went and got a plug-in that would do it. So yeah, you do indeed have options for captions in Twitch. And I think I have the profanity filter off. Fuck. Yeah, see? There, it gave you some fucks. Spelled it F-U-K. That's awesome. Oh, Meat Cakes redeemed the no cursing. Oh, shit. Well. If you guys don't know how this works, when somebody redeems the no cursing on Twitch, I have to go 10 minutes with no profanity. If I curse, the timer restarts. Usually it takes me a little while to get through this. Do let me know if I curse and I don't catch it myself and restart the timer. Let me know that I need to restart the timer. And I will take some rips. Just so that you can make sure that I'm as high as possible, and maybe I won't remember that the clock is going. And it's been really fun every time somebody has redeemed this. It's been a fun game to play. I don't know if I can make it through these stories without cursing. It's gonna be hard. Doctors are worried about privacy laws for the exact reason that you saw in the Nebraska story. HIPAA faces test in new abortion reality. Doctors are weighing the legal risks of turning over ultrasounds and other personal health records if prosecutors or law enforcement demand the information to enforce state abortion bans. The new post-Roe landscape is testing the suitability of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA. The landmark federal privacy law restricts how health providers share medical information, but it doesn't prevent them from sharing it with law enforcement. In Texas, anti-abortion lawyers have started filing pre-lawsuit petitions to depose abortion providers in order to gain information about abortions, the Texas Tribune reported. Providers in such circumstances may need the advice of attorneys before handling requests for reproductive health information. We are in such uncharted territory when it comes to this type of issue that providers really don't have guidance, said Samantha Deans, Associate Medical Director for Planned Parenthood of Southeast and North Florida. President Biden recently directed the Department of Health and Human Services to consider actions to strengthen the protection of sensitive information related to reproductive health care services and bolster patient-provider confidentiality. Advocates are calling on Biden to go further, but I mean, that's fucking everything. God damn it. But I mean, that's fucking everything with the Biden administration. He needs to go further. We continue to elevate high-impact options to help people, an HHS spokesperson said. Now, the DOJ has asked a judge to pause an Idaho law, a very restrictive law. In Idaho, the U.S. Department of Justice asked a federal judge this week to bar Idaho from enforcing its near-total abortion ban while a lawsuit pitting federal health care law against state anti-abortion legislation is underway. This video has nothing to do with our story. Oh, God, I remember. I'm not supposed to get from ABC anymore because, like, it does this video thing and it follows me and there's no way to get rid of it. You pieces of shit. I was aware the clock was on. It was worth it to call him a piece of shit. Ugh. The U.S. Department of Justice asked a federal judge this week to bar Idaho from enforcing its near-total abortion ban while a lawsuit pitting federal health care law against state anti-abortion legislation is underway. Meanwhile, the Republican-led Idaho legislature is asking for permission to intervene in the federal case, just as it has done in 3 other abortion-related lawsuits filed in state courts. The complex legal maneuvering playing out in Idaho is becoming increasingly common in red states as the American landscape of reproductive care continues to feel the aftershocks from the U.S. Supreme Court's decision overturning decades of abortion rights rulings. Judges in the neighboring states of Montana and Wyoming were weighing similar requests, with the Montana Supreme Court on Tuesday keeping 3 abortion laws on pause, and the Wyoming judge expected to issue a ruling soon. I believe this is that ruling. Posted just a few hours ago. A Wyoming judge on Wednesday blocked the state's near-total ban on abortion from taking effect, while doctors, a clinic operator, and others sued to invalidate the law. This may not be the final ruling on this. Judge Melissa Owens of the District Court of Teton County said the lawsuit raised important questions about the ban, which has only narrow exceptions for rape, incest, and medical emergencies under Wyoming's constitution. Owen said irreparable harm could occur if the ban were enforced before those questions are answered. She also said she believes the plaintiffs would win on the merits of their case, though a final decision will likely come from the state Supreme Court, whose 5 members were all appointed by Republican governors. Thank you, Meat Cakes, for wishing me luck. I did just throw a couple out there just because it was worth it. Mock's my line for profanity. I don't exactly know. I've the one time we've had a question, I deferred to chat. I said, does that count as profanity? And the chat actually ruled no in that instance. I don't remember what it was. So that is the, I guess that is the rule we're operating on, is that chat will be the judge of whether I cross the line into profanity. We might should just leave the country, Scott comment. We might should. But once again, I've said, like, that would be privilege on my part. I have the privilege that I'd be able to leave the country. Possibly if I wanted to. Pregnant women in states with abortion bans face the reality of a post-Roe world. So the impacts of abortion bans on maternal care, on pregnant women. These assholes, fuck. Yep, that assholes counts. Asshole is profanity. These assholes didn't want to take into consideration the effects of their laws on pregnant women because they're fucking pieces of shit. Dumb fuck, idiot ass, fucking right wing moron, fucking assholes.
Half months pregnant, she was told it would take a miracle for her daughter to survive.
It was the not being able to see her take her first steps or send her off to school for the first time.
While Elizabeth was at a high risk of infection, she was told she was not sick enough to immediately end the pregnancy.
So you're basically sent home to get sicker?
Yes. The nurses essentially told me you're being sent home to develop the signs of an infection.
Days later, when she was infected, doctors finally induced labor. And while she and her husband are still mourning the daughter they named Theodora, a new study shows their experience is not unique. Researchers looked at 28 recent cases in Dallas where doctors had to delay care until there was an immediate threat to patients' lives. Nearly 60% developed severe complications. One was in intensive care, others given blood transfusions. Only one baby survived, so underdeveloped it needed life support.
This is what happens when we cannot provide the standard of care right up front.
Houston Dr. Anitra Beasley recently published similar findings on the Texas heartbeat bill called SB 8.
What we found was that SB 8 really created a chilling effect on reproductive health care. Physicians were unclear if they could counsel patients, refer patients, having to really wait until something became life-threatening before they could intervene.
State Senator Brian Hughes wrote SB 8 and admits he's troubled by the recent study.
Maybe they're confused by the law in other states or misled by other stories, but for those medical emergencies, the law hasn't changed.
How close to death does a patient need to be before SB 8 would allow termination?
Under Texas law, a doctor sees that condition and based on a reasonable medical probability knows this is going to happen. They can act. They do not have to wait for a condition to be aggravated.
He says there has been outreach to doctors and hospitals to clarify.
It's stopping life-saving care. That's exactly right, Scott Comment.
And the studies.
So is the data that you're seeing a warning to other places considering bans?
If it's not, I think that it absolutely should be.
The Wellers also worry about the future.
It makes me not want to start a family here. It's not safe.
They say they've seen that firsthand. Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News, Houston.
In the white-hot Miami...
Shut up. Shut up. Let's move on to some international affairs here. This is a wild story. There was an assassination plot by the Iranians against several high-level officials, and including Trump. But apparently John Bolton was one of their priority targets, or that's the one that was the most materialized. Also Mike Pompeo. But I mean, they did take out one of their, commanders or generals. I don't even remember now.
As we reported, the Department of Justice has charged an Iranian with trying to assassinate former National Security Advisor John Bolton. U.S. officials say the man was a member of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. Nick Schifrin is following this, and he joins me here. So, hello, Nick. What do we know about this plot?
U.S. officials say beginning in about October...
Pretty much everyone in agreement in the country is like, okay, let him, right? Because, I don't even think the right-wingers like John Bolton anymore. Everyone agrees he's a madman. Even, Trump got sick of him and kicked him out. So, come on. Nobody likes John Bolton. So, I mean, somebody wanted to assassinate him? It's not surprising, right?
October 2021, an Iranian named Shahram Poursafi, that is his FBI wanted poster, began to take steps to assassinate Bolton.
He's a good-looking guy.
On the left and the right, Poursafi and
I'd fuck him. Not John Bolton. Not John Bolton, for those of you listening to the podcast.
Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps' Quds Force. That's the unit that oversees operation, is really the military wing of the regime. DOJ says Poursafi hired a person in the U.S. that DOJ identifies as a confidential human source to the U.S., offered him first $250,000, then after negotiation...
Better than a confidential robot source.
...currency to hire someone to assassinate John Bolton. The person in the U.S. said that, yes, he had hired someone, a member of a Mexican cartel, and Poursafi said that he wanted Bolton to be killed by the end of 2021. And at one point, Poursafi even messaged this person in the U.S. a photo of the cash that he was offering. The FBI was able to get...
Who cares about John Bolton? John Bolton was kicked out of the Trump administration in what, 2019? He was only there for I don't even think it was a year. It was like 6 months tops that John Bolton was even a member of the Trump administration. Why in 2021 are you even caring about John Bolton that you're wanting to assassinate? And why would you pay money to assassinate John Bolton? This doesn't make any sense to me. Is it just because of the taking out the general?
To get inside of Porsafi's messaging apps. Here's how Matt Olson, the Assistant Attorney General for National Security, described it earlier today.
This was not an idle threat. And this is not the first time we have uncovered brazen acts by Iran to exact revenge against individuals on U.S. soil. We will work tirelessly to continue to expose and disrupt every one of these efforts.
Once again, revenge is the key word there. You know, the U.S. did do something.
Ambassador in the U.S. Bottom line, Judy, Justice, the FBI took this plot very seriously, even though the person that Porsafi thought he was hiring to hire a hitman was in fact an FBI informant.
And Nick, what is the government saying about why they believe the Revolutionary Guard was targeting?
Every third person in the U.S. is an FBI informant.
Talked about Qasem Soleimani. This is the former head of the Quds Force who was killed in a U.S. drone strike on January 3rd, 2020. Iran has been very clear that it wanted revenge for Soleimani's death, especially by killing individual Americans, something that Bolton told me earlier today when we spoke.
It was very serious, and I don't think it was John Bolton alone that was the target here. I think there were many former
John Bolton
officials, but also private American citizens, and it really tells you the real nature of the regime in Tehran, that they are threatening American citizens on American soil.
Okay. Has he got an office? Is this his house? Is this what his house looks like? Or are you at some, like, do you have fluorescent lights and an office set up at your house? Like, I'm not getting it here. Or do you have an, like, you're not in an official post somewhere. He probably teaches at some college. He's a professor emeritus some fucking where. Somebody gave him an office.
Tehran, that they are threatening American citizens.
Did I cuss during that diatribe?
A former senior official tells me that Iran identified 5 specific former officials to assassinate: former President Trump, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Bolton, the former top commander in the Middle East, General Frank McCain.
He came in alcove. Yeah, it wasn't a proper office.
And Brian.
You can say hi to John Bolton as you're walking down the hallway to go to the bathroom. What up, war criminal? I don't think I've cussed.
The former special envoy for Iran. And in fact, Porsafi specifically said there was going to be a second target for which he was willing to pay $1 million to assassinate, and that, quote, his time would come.
$1 million.
The threat is very much active today, Judy.
Well, that's disturbing. So, Nick, all this happens as the administration is just about to re-enter these nuclear talks on Iran's nuclear program.
This is not looking good on the nuclear talks.
U.S. officials say it will not affect those talks. So a White House spokesperson tells me today that President Biden still believes diplomacy is the best path to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. Their argument is that the U.S. will deal with Iran's other destabilizing behavior, the largest ballistic missile program.
Maybe the U.S. is like, hey, it's really cool what you did to John Bolton. What tried to do.
Want to put the Iranian nuclear program, so to speak, in a kind of box. Bolton, however, and others disagree.
Iran's nuclear weapons program and its terrorist activities are two.
He's still got a hell of a fucking mustache.
You can't separate one from the other.
I say right after the 10 minutes expire.
Regime in Tehran. That was the mistake of the 2015 deal. It's the mistake in trying to go back into it.
But what the administration argues is that it's actually easier to deal with those other aspects of Iran's malign activity in the Middle East if Iran's nuclear program is constrained, and that's what they will continue to do. As for the talks, Judy, senior U.S. officials tell me that they've actually made a lot of progress in the last few months. They've jumped over the kind of major hurdles that they had at the beginning of the deal, which steps the U.S. would take in order to lift the sanctions on Iran, and which steps Iran had to take to get back into compliance when it comes to its nuclear program. But the two sides are disagreeing still to this day over whether the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, can investigate Iran's previous attempts to try and create a nuclear program, those attempts, of course, that Iran concealed from the world. There is a final text on the table, Judy, and we may know within just a couple days.
I mean, like why everybody else does it.
John Bolton, of course, longtime opponent of any nuclear deal with Iran. Nick Schifrin.
It's a hell of a mustache. It's a hell of a mustache. I'll give him that. Speaking of Trump, here is the big news of the day. Trump pled the fifth multiple times in a deposition earlier today.
Former President Trump took the fifth today at his deposition with the New York Attorney General's office.
The probe is part of a long-running civil investigation which began in 2019 into his company's real estate dealings. CBS 2's Naomi Ruckham live outside the AG's Manhattan office with the latest. Naomi?
Maurice and Christine, legal experts agree that pleading the fifth was likely the best option for the former president as he faces...
Of course it was.
...and could dig himself into deeper trouble. Here in New York, the allegations are that he made his golf courses and other real estate seem more valuable than they actually were. Former President...
And of course he did that.
Way to his deposition at the New York Attorney General's office, where he declined to answer questions under oath. Mr. Trump released a statement about invoking his right against self-incrimination, saying in part, when your family, your company, and all the people in your orbit have become the targets of an unfounded, politically motivated witch hunt, you have no choice.
In the past, he'd said only guilty people plead the fifth. What he's trying to do is diffuse one of those costs, which is making him look bad, making him look guilty.
Well, he is guilty.
Like a hypocrite.
The civil investigation, led by Democrat Letitia James, is looking into whether the Trump Organization inflated the values of multiple real estate properties to get favorable loans and tax deductions. The AG's office says it's collected substantial evidence that could support a lawsuit against Mr. Trump or his company. Former President Trump has also been lashing out about a separate federal probe into whether he illegally took classified material from the White House when he left office. In an extraordinary move Monday, the FBI searched the former president's home in Mar-a-Lago, seizing boxes and paper documents, some of which are believed to contain classified information. President Trump's lawyers have suggested, without proof, the FBI may have planted evidence, and Republican allies are calling for transparency.
This raised. Yeah, we're gonna go deeper into the supposed raid here in just a little bit. But first, the New York AG may seek corporate death penalty for Trump Tower and all of his golf courses. This is according to a legal expert. This is just somebody pontificating. Former President Donald Trump may lose the crown jewels of the heir's corporate empire if New York Attorney General Letitia James moves to invoke New York's corporate death penalty against the Trump Organization, according to a new report. On Wednesday, Trump announced he would refuse to answer questions in James's civil investigation into the company during a deposition that lasted more than 5 hours. The investigation focuses on whether the Trump Organization essentially kept two sets of books. He allegedly would lowball values to avoid taxes, while highballing values to secure loans. In the coming days, or in the coming weeks or even days, the AG is expected to file a massive, long-threatened enforcement action, essentially a multi-hundred-page lawsuit against the Trumps and his Manhattan-based business. Business Insider reported on Wednesday. Fines and back taxes, however, may be the least of what Trump's facing. James has signaled she will also seek the dissolution of the business itself under New York's so-called corporate death penalty, a law that allows the AG to seek to dissolve businesses that operate in a persistently fraudulent or illegal manner. Well, all of Trump's businesses certainly fit that definition. The FBI seized 15 boxes from Mar-a-Lago. Here's the inside scoop from Inside Edition.
On his way to be questioned about his family's business dealings. The deposition comes a day after that bombshell raid on Mar-a-Lago. Now comes a report claiming FBI agents also searched Melania Trump's closet. Must Trend has the very latest.
How do you feel, Mr. Trump?
Donald Trump took the fifth today, refusing to answer questions under oath about his business practices.
Former President Trump was driven in a motorcade through rush hour traffic to the office of New York.
Why does that feel very Nixon-y when he does that?
An hour later, he announced that he had given the same answer to every question.
I declined to answer the questions under the rights and privileges accorded every citizen under the Constitution, he said in a statement. I once asked, if you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment? Now I know the answer.
Oh my God.
Scoffed at his taking the fifth.
It's especially notable given his repeated criticism of people who take the fifth.
Taking the fifth, I think it's disgraceful. Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment. Horrible.
And we're learning new details about that FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago.
There's more to the Fifth Amendment than just that, by the way.
Melania Trump's wardrobe. Agents reportedly took away 15 boxes of documents, including letters from North Korean tyrant Kim Jong-un and the letter from President Obama that Trump told ABC's David Muir he was especially proud of.
I doubt too many of them were written.
Meanwhile, one of Trump's attorneys is making serious allegations against FBI agents.
And quite honestly, I'm concerned that they may have planted something. You know, at this point, who knows?
CBS
Bullshit.
correspondent Major Garrett is outside Mar-a-Lago.
The suggestion that evidence was planted is merely to inject into the court of public opinion something that there is no evidentiary basis for. But it increases the sense of political division and the sense of political animosity that Trump supporters have to anyone investigating former President Trump.
Many people believe that this raid...
Now, it would seem that the FBI purposely selected the time that they did when he was out of town because they didn't want a media firestorm. You're talking about, Cicero is talking about photo ops over here in the Twitch chat. And that was one of the things that the FBI was cognizant of. They didn't want to give him a photo op. They literally said that. I think we're going to get into that here in a piece that we're going to pull up here in just a second.
Could not have been just about documents and that it is somehow related to January 6th.
One would have to assume that for the Justice Department to take this step without precedent in American history, it has to be about something more than just a disagreement about the handling of presidential records.
The Fuhrer is a boon to the late-night comics.
I feel bad for those agents. Sir, I finished searching the cabinet full of empty chicken.
I hadn't even watched Colbert.
Should I go next? Please don't say the bathroom. Please don't say the bathroom. Please don't say the bathroom.
In the wake of the raid, FBI agents as well as U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland and FBI Director Chris Wray are receiving death threats online. There are reports underway to increase their security.
I love there was somebody that was like, whoever appointed Chris Wray needs to be investigated. It was Trump. it was Trump. The FBI was apparently very cautious. Law enforcement had serious concerns. Reporter reveals FBI gained access to Mar-a-Lago surveillance footage. A new report is shedding more light on the Federal Bureau of Investigation's findings during the search of former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. According to CNN, new details have emerged about the FBI gaining access to Mar-a-Lago surveillance footage during Wednesday's segment of CNN's At This Hour. There were new details about FBI's Florida home. Bolton said CNN has learned from investigators that the former president or his team did not return the government documents that were taken when they were left at the White House. This isn't new information. The CNN correspondent went on to share details about the surveillance videos the FBI gained access to at the former president's estate. So we also know in this investigation that federal authorities subpoenaed and received access to Mar-a-Lago surveillance videos so that they were able to understand the security around these documents in recent weeks. On top of that, sources tell Pamela Brown, Caitlin Collins, and I that they weren't being entirely truthful with them in recent months as law enforcement was working on the problem where Trump still had these presidential records in his possession. So on the Trump side of things, we now understand that advisors around him thought the investigation until essentially Monday was stalled out, that it had gone silent. She also noted that the angle Trump's team may take in an effort to defend him, now their argument, we believe, will be that Trump didn't keep documents with national security secrets at Mar-a-Lago because when he was president, they're saying he declassified them. I've seen right-wingers make that argument, like, well, he had the power to declassify him. He may have fucked himself when he signed this law. Citizen Trump may have broken a law that President Trump made a felony. There are not many people who know exactly why FBI agents searched Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate on Monday. The FBI knows, certainly, and the former president and his attorneys probably have a good sense as well, given that they saw the search warrant. Everyone else is operating on what's been revealed by Trump's team and public reporting. The FBI search was largely or entirely a function of the investigation into Trump's retention of documents after leaving the White House. I'm sorry, guys. I tried to snooze the ads over on Twitch. I missed it. My apologies. We know that he did, by his own admission, this year a number of boxes of material were turned over to the National Archives. Included in that material were some that were classified. On Monday, the FBI removed another dozen boxes, with speculation rampant that more of that material was similarly restricted. If Trump is found to have violated federal law in removing and retaining classified documents without authorization, he could be convicted of a felony punishable by 5 years in prison, and that conviction would be a felony carrying that punishment because of a law signed by President Donald Trump. Trump's 2016 campaign was intertwined with a similar question. His Democratic opponent, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, had been found to have operated a private email server that she used for official business, including, the FBI determined, some that was classified. Trump and his allies pushed for Clinton to face criminal charges, but in July 2016, FBI Director James B. Comey announced that the FBI wouldn't seek an indictment. Trump was furious, but he won anyway. During his first year in office, a central tool used for surveillance by the intelligence community, Section 702 of the FISA Amendments Act, was set to expire. Shortly before it did, Congress passed an extension of the authority for another 5 years. But that didn't come without turmoil. Trump came into office angry at the intelligence community for revealing to reporters that it believed Russia had interfered in the 2016 election. He excoriated intelligence agencies on Twitter and continued to do so as the contours of the investigation into that interference became clear. On the day that the House was set to vote on the reauthorization, Trump complained on Twitter, "House votes on controversial FISA Act today. This is the act that may have been used with the help of the discredited and phony dossier to so badly surveil and abuse the Trump campaign by the previous administration and others." The tweet freaked out advocates of the extension. A few hours later, he tweeted his support, and it passed. What became law was S-139. It had been introduced by Senator Orrin Hatch as the Rapid DNA Act of 2017, but sometimes Congress hollows out existing legislation and replaces it entirely with other legislation to move the process forward more quickly. So S-139 was replaced with House Resolution 4478, which extended Section 702 for another 5 years. It also had a stipulation editing 18 U.S. Code 1924. Whoever being an officer, employee, contractor, or consultant of the United States, and by virtue of his office, employment position, or contract, becomes possessed of documents or materials containing classified information of the United States, knowingly removes such documents or materials without authority and with the intent to retain such documents or materials at an unauthorized location, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 1 year or both. With Trump's signing of S-139 into law, that became, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 5 years or both. And with that, it became a felony.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Apparently, there was an informant letting the FBI know exactly where Trump was hiding documents. And you've got to wonder, if he was hiding documents, for what purpose? Did he plan on selling information? Blackmailing people? What was the reason for him hiding documents? According to Newsweek published this morning, an informer told the FBI what docs Trump was hiding and where. The raid on Mar-a-Lago was based largely on information from an FBI confidential human source, one who was able to identify what classified documents former President Trump was still hiding, and even the location of those documents. This is according to two senior government officials telling Newsweek. The officials, who have direct knowledge of the FBI's deliberations and were granted anonymity in order to discuss sensitive matters, said the raid of Donald Trump's Florida residence was deliberately timed to occur when the former president was away. Yes, you can't run for president if you were found guilty of a federal crime, but a trial like that would take years. FBI decision makers in Washington and Miami thought that denying the former president a photo opportunity or a platform for which to grandstand would lower the profile of the event, says one of the sources. The effort to keep the raid low-key failed. Instead, it prompted a furious response from GOP leaders and Trump supporters. What a spectacular backfire, says the justice official. I know that there is much speculation out there that this is a political persecution, but it really is the best and the worst of the bureaucracy in action. They wanted to punctuate the fact that this was a routine law enforcement action stripped of any political overtones, and yet they got exactly the opposite. Both senior government officials say the raid was scheduled with no political motive. The FBI's sole intent on recovering highly classified documents that were illegally removed from the White House. Preparations to conduct the search on an operation began weeks ago, but in planning the date and time, the FBI Miami field office and Washington headquarters were focused on the former president's scheduled return to Florida from his residences in New York and New Jersey. They were seeking to avoid a media circus, says the second source. So even though everything made sense bureaucratically and the FBI feared that the documents might be destroyed, they also created the very firestorm they sought to avoid in ignoring the fallout. Speaking of people around Trump being able to talk, Trump's 2016 campaign staff can now talk about what they saw. Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign has released former staffers from key sections of a non-disclosure agreement, freeing them to talk about their experience, good or bad. The move was disclosed in a court filing this week as Trump campaign lawyers angled to end a 2020 lawsuit challenging parts of NDAs that barred former staffers from disparaging Trump and his campaign and sharing other information about their work. A federal judge in Manhattan last year declared those confidentiality and non-disparagement clauses invalid and unenforceable as applied to the former staffer who brought the case, Jessica Denson. Denson's lawyers have since moved ahead with efforts to get the suit certified as a class action. On Tuesday, campaign attorney Jared Blumetti filed a letter with the declaration signed in June by a campaign committee official stating that they would not ever enforce or attempt to enforce any confidentiality or non-disparagement provisions contained in any written agreements signed by any employees, independent contractors, or volunteers who worked for the campaign on the 2016 presidential election. So expect a deluge of books and exclusive interviews coming your way of people in and around the 2016 Donald Trump presidential campaign. Look forward to that. Cicero says a confidential human source equals not a ghost. Definitely not the ghost I saw down here earlier tonight. Start craving, I might have missed a rips. My apologies if I did. I got something special here for the end of the show. I don't know how much of this we're going to watch. It's like an hour long, so I don't think we're going to watch the whole fucking thing. Maybe we'll get 30 minutes into it. Maybe. But I think this is going to be very interesting because I've never done this before. I've never sat down and watched a full episode. For those of you who are unaware, Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire once called me a formidable voice in the culture.
Justin FREAKIN, the formidable voice in the culture.
Matt Walsh and I are buddies. Not only has Matt Walsh called me a formidable voice in the culture, Daily Wire CEO Jeremy Boring has actually retweeted a Troll Patrol clip and said, I love the internet. So I've got multiple endorsements from members of the Daily Wire. But Matt Walsh has to be my favorite because Matt Walsh helped my career more than anybody by playing a clip of the Troll Patrol on his show. So in honor of Matt Walsh's 1000th episode, where he unveils his new set, he's going to be complaining about the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Right now, you can check out that he is sitting in his car. Apparently he went viral for clips of himself in his car originally. I didn't become aware of him until much later. This is the 1000th episode of the Matt Walsh Show. It is titled "The DOJ Declares War on the Right." He is starting off with an homage to sitting in his car making videos originally. This should be a really fun episode. He's going to unveil his new set at the Daily Wire. It's actually a really nice set. I saw the picture earlier. Hopefully he gives us something to work with that we can make fun of. Because he doesn't quite often.
Hey, Justin, are you trolling?
Trying to, but sometimes Matt Walsh, he doesn't cooperate. So this is sweet baby Matt Walsh.
Today on the Matt Walsh Show, a fully weaponized FBI raids the home of a former president and future
weaponized.
Is this a totally unprecedented and shocking turn of events, as most people on the right are saying, or is it a totally predictable turn of events in a country where all...
Cicero is correct that I should run it on a faster speed. You want to do 1.25? We'll do 1.25.
All of our institutions have been captured by the far left. Also, speaking of captured institutions, the Democrats are building an army of IRS agents to make your life miserable. Plus, a mom looks on and cheers as her child works the stripper pole at a Pride event. That and many other important topics. I want to talk to you about something. You know, we started the Matt Walsh Show in my car. We did the first many shows.
In your car.
Low tech, low budget, lo-fi operation back in those days.
Like all dumb fuck right-wingers do.
I had a budget of 50 cents of a toothpick, basically. And it was just me in a random parking lot, screaming at my dashboard, confusing all the other Walmart shoppers. And the worst thing is that...
I will say that they're showing off right now. This is what's called a Steadicam shot. Someone has a gyro on a very elaborate rig. It goes over your shoulder, straps around your waist, and it's like it's like a somebody who has like back problems. It's like a back brace like that. It's really sturdy, and it has a gyro attached to it. So you put the camera on it, and the gyro keeps it steady, and you walk holding the sides of it. The steady cam shot. They're really cool. They look really cool. That's why he's using it in the opening right now. They're just showing off with this steady cam shot. You see a lot of it in music videos and shit.
Told me I had a terrible haircut back then. I don't know how my wife let me out of the house like that. But eventually she invited me back into the house, and we moved into a home.
They did the same fucking shot during their Jeremy's Razors commercial.
We moved out here to Nashville, and that's when things really started to take off. Over the last year, thanks so much to all of you, we have become the fastest growing conservative podcast in the country. One of the biggest news commentary podcasts in the country. One of the biggest podcasts, period. We've got the best documentary.
If you are going to thank anyone, you need to thank the millions of dollars in right-wing funding that you receive that props you up and artificially inflates your numbers. That's who you should be. That's who you should be thanking. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Matt Walsh called me
Justin FREAKIN, the formidable voice in the culture.
That kind of astute political commentary.
Of the year, we've got an LGBT best-selling children's book. We're saving abuelas. We're saving Virginia. We're doing all of that. But here's the great thing. We're just getting started. All of that and more today on The Matt Walsh Show. The Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe is a huge, albeit long overdue, step in the right direction, but there's still...
Oh, are you not going to give us a tour around your new set? Come on.
...woke mob by donating to pro-choice causes and candidates or reimbursing their employees' travel expenses so that if they live and work in a pro-life state, they can travel to a pro-abortion state and get an abortion and be back at work on Monday, because that's what, of course, these companies really care about. Well, what if I told you that if you're currently on a phone plan with one of the major carriers, you might be supporting these companies and their pro-abortion agenda, which... Don't let abortionists use your money to fund policies you don't believe in. Switch
Abortionists
is a pro-life, pro-family cell phone company that sends 5% of...
Oh, this is an ad. This isn't even the show.
...values or good phone service. You can get it all with Charity Mobile. Charity Mobile offers the latest 5G phones, no device or service contracts.
He got me. He got me.
In the USA. The fight for the right to life continues, and pro-life...
I don't think I need to tell you guys. Do not.
Cell phone company today to Charity Mobile. Call 1-877-474-3662.
Patronize Charity Mobile.
Offer code Walsh to redeem a free cell phone offer. That's
I'm sure it's a scam. I'm sure it's a scam.
Welcome to the Matt Walsh Show. We couldn't think of a better way to celebrate our 1,000th episode than by unveiling our brand new studio. This is an actual, real studio. It's not a sheet that's even has a real banjo behind me, which, as you know, I can really play. So we come a long way, and we aren't even close to done yet. But there are considerably less joyous...
You know what? Since he brings it up, let's Can I not? Where? I want to hear Matt Walsh play banjo. He mentioned it. Michael Knowles reacts to Matt Walsh playing banjo. He's just tuning.
There is a real lesson in here, by the way.
I can now play you, because I look. I made a promise.
Is every video of Matt Walsh playing the banjo him tune? Is this a running joke that he can't actually play fucking banjo? He's just fucking always tuning it, and that's why he mentioned like there's a banjo over there. I can really play it. Is that the joke?
Starting with the news that broke last night that agents with the FBI, 30 of them reportedly, raided the Florida home of former President Donald Trump. Now, news of the raid first came from Trump himself, who issued a statement saying, in part, quote, "These are dark times for our nation as my beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, is currently under siege, raided, and occupied by a large group of FBI agents. After working and cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate." Trump added that the FBI henchman had even broken into his safe, though his son Eric...
He knew it was coming. He knew it was coming.
Into it anyway. So
he didn't know when, but he knew it was coming.
Along the regime-approved version of events says that the FBI conducted this operation in order to recover classified material that Trump had allegedly.
I'm sorry, you've heard of Matt Walsh, Cicero.
Reading from the Daily Wire, reported says agents with the Federal Bureau of Investigation executed a search warrant Monday at the Florida home of former President Donald Trump that appeared to be connected to classified material that was allegedly at the home. The investigation is, quote, focused on material that Trump had brought with him to Mar-a-Lago, his private club and residence.
He still didn't really make a big deal out of his studio. Like, he didn't, like, give the tour around. Like, it was a nice studio. What the fuck? Also, here's the weird thing is this was yesterday. This was yesterday's 1000th episode. Matt Walsh was not on today. Matt Walsh says he has laryngitis. Interesting.
After he left the White House, according to the New York Times report. Those boxes contained many pages of classified documents. Multiple reports later confirmed that the raid was connected to the missing White House records. The report said that Trump delayed returning more than a dozen boxes of material to the National
Archives. So this was his first episode back. He does one episode and then he's off again.
National security information. So the Federal Bureau of Investigation took the historically unprecedented, absolutely unheard of, mind-boggling step of raiding the home of a former United States president, all on behalf of the National Archives. Now, leaving aside the fact that other very prominent former White House officials, Hillary Clinton comes to mind, have been caught up in scandals involving their handling of classified materials and yet never have been raided by the FBI as a result.
Because they cooperated. Because they cooperated. Matt Walsh, what you were leaving off is that they have been to Mar-a-Lago multiple times. They have been in contact with Trump's lawyers asking him to hand over the documents. They didn't want to have to do this, and for some reason, Trump was still sitting on these documents. And I don't know why. I wonder why. Did he want to blackmail? Did he want to sell information to other countries? What the fuck was he up to? But leaving that out is a key thing. The DOJ declares war on the right.
The DOJ, always looking out for its own, then declined to prosecute those agents, of course. A few months ago, activists in D.C. uncovered physical evidence that an abortion clinic in the city was murdering fully developed children. Already born, fully developed children. This is infanticide. The systematic...
No, that did not happen.
The DOJ refused to investigate. No FBI raid was conducted. Maybe they'll wait 30 years.
Because what you're saying is bullshit.
Before they finally decide to look into the situation. The DOJ has no interest in any of these crimes. But it'll bring down its wrath on its political enemies, starting with Trump, but certainly not ending with him. I mean, at least Trump has money and fame and a loyal following, all things that give him some amount of protection. No, though obviously not complete protection. The PTA parents, recently labeled domestic terrorists by this same Department of Justice, don't have any
PTA parents?
And so we see that as a consequence of the ideological capture of the institution, we cannot really say that there is a double standard, because there is in fact one standard. They will try to destroy you if you oppose them politically. That's the standard. That's the overarching principle that the FBI and all the rest of the federal law enforcement agencies believe in. And they actually follow that principle with rigid consistency. But here's the point. This goes far beyond the Department of Justice. The fact is that all of our institutions are being held hostage by the left. All of them. They are all being eaten alive from the inside by the same disease. Every institution, from academia to the medical industry to the churches and everything in between. One cannot help but...
the churches.
After the Democrats passed a bill which would see the IRS doubled in size with 87,000 new agents hired. If there was ever any question about what this new...
Avocado the King, thank you for being a freaking follower.
Answered now, after what happened at Trump's house. They will be focused, just as they were...
The churches are...
Pilfering and plundering.
The churches are full of radical leftists now.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
The churches are full of radical leftists.
From the enemies of the regime and from the middle class generally, which the regime considers its enemy. This, again, is how every institution operates in this country. Every single one. They all have their guns, whether literal or figurative or both, pointed in the same direction. Pointed at us. So what can we do about it? Well,
who has the literal guns in this country?
Don't simply whine about double standards and then just leave it at that. As if we've achieved something merely by calling our opponents hypocrites, as if the charge means anything to them, like they care. If you haven't noticed, when you say to the left, oh, you're a bunch of hypocrites, they don't care. Doesn't mean anything to them.
Well, not when you say it, because, like, everything you just said is bullshit, so I'm not actually a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. You don't get. You guys have zero self-awareness.
Insisting that nothing will ever get better, all is lost, woe is me, etc. We don't do any of that. What we should do instead is fight back with a ferocity, intensity, and ruthlessness that may have seemed distasteful to conservatives in years past. And some conservatives even still today. But they're going to have to get over their squeamishness. Part of that fight, though.
What, like Roger Stone, who's been around since the Nixon years?
To pass in 2022. But more than simply elect,
it's not going to.
Generally, we must specifically elect the sort of Republicans who have the gumption to act decisively and wield their legal power.
The red wave that is coming in the fall is all the women who are able to experience periods that are going to vote against the Republicans. Sir, that is the red wave that you will see.
Actually,
was that a distasteful joke?
Actually use the power that they have and to do so in service to what is good and just and true. We need the kinds who will do all this in spite of the sustained attacks they're going to face. Now, I realize that the list of Republicans
I thought it was funny
is somewhat limited, but this is the sort we must be looking for. And once they've taken power, we must push them to do more than hold hearings and assemble committees and all the rest of it. What we want to see, and we need to be very clear about this, is corrupt government officials arrested. Okay, so you can
yes.
have your hearing if you want, if it makes you feel better.
That's why they're going after Trump.
Arrested.
Yes, we want to see Trump arrested and frog marched in front of cameras. Yes.
He's gutted and disassembled.
Trump campaign.
And we should be very clear about that. Now let's get to our 5 headlines.
Ooh, the 5 headlines. So he does like a monologue about the big story at the top.
Is to get your kids away from the public school system and
remember this is the first time I've ever watched the Matt Walsh show in its entirety. I've only watched clips before. So he does a cold open. At least for the 1000th episode, he did a cold open. Come back, did an ad, did a monologue. And then I guess he does his like 5 headlines here. I like dissecting the format people go with.
IRS agents only audit companies and people who make over $400,000 a year. So they could have put that into the bill in an amendment saying that all these new IRS workers that we're bringing on, none of them are going to be concentrating on auditing middle-class Americans. And given that...
I'm down with that, actually, Matt. I'll agree with you.
Not do anything with the middle class. Then they should have signed on the dotted line for that amendment, but they didn't. Every Democrat voted against it because their actual intentions are quite clear. Senator Ben Cardin, though, of a Democrat of Maryland, says that even so, okay, maybe they're going to focus on the middle class, maybe we're all going to get audited, but there's nothing to worry about.
You're not the middle class, Matt.
Can you understand how 87,000 new IRS agents would scare the heck out of millions of Americans?
Well, millions of Americans aren't going to be impacted by that other than getting better service from the IRS, having their...
I can understand how it scare the hell out of Americans because people on Fox News and all these right-wing outlets are telling them to be scared. And they react just like the little puppets they are.
Telephone answer, getting the questions they need in order to comply with our tax laws. The auditing is going to be focused on those of high income, the large corporations, etc. So there's no reason to be fearful. And if you paid your taxes and if you comply with our laws, you should want to make sure everyone else does that.
Well, what are you worried about? If you have nothing to hide, then there's nothing to worry about. You know, if you paid all your taxes, nothing to worry about.
Isn't that what all you fucks usually say?
Audit is just a pleasant, even enjoyable experience if you've paid all of your taxes. Of course, there's a very good chance that, especially if your income is not solely from, if you only make W-2 income, then more than likely, your audit's going to come back okay. Although it's still not going to be a fun process. But if you have some non-W-2 income, then, there's there's a relatively decent chance that you've made a mistake here or there. You've whatever, you've lost some paperwork or something.
There's a relatively decent chance I just made everything up.
Here is that there are like two categories of people, right? There are the honest, good people.
I got a few 1099s here or there, and then I just make everything else up.
Tax cheats and who intentionally are defrauding the IRS for millions of dollars every year. Like, those are the two categories. Of course, there's a lot of room in between, and a lot of middle class people find themselves.
We'll just take a stab at it. This is what I probably need. I probably need somebody to.
An audit is a miserable,
get my ass in order.
Incredibly stressful experience.
If I want to grow my business.
There's a reason why it's used. You know, the term is used. We use it like we use the term root canal, just as a stand-in for a miserable. That's almost the definition of the term now. Is a miserable experience, an audit.
That's because propagandists like yourself.
Oh no, really, it's just going to be better service.
Like did that.
Right, because that's what you want from the IRS is better service. They're going to answer your phone calls. First of all,
yeah.
Phone calls bit. Let me just be clear about one thing. It doesn't matter how many IRS agents they have. I mean, right now they've got 76,000 people working at the IRS. And if you try to call the IRS, nobody's answering. You're not going to call the number that they have available that you can find on a website. And you call up, IRS, and someone just picks up the phone. Hey, IRS speaking. Who's there? So that doesn't happen now.
I bet I get somebody on the line.
No, it makes service
Hey, Smokey.
worse, not
Smokey.
better. This is something that we've all experienced, that the bigger, anytime, especially if you're trying to get in touch with someone, if you have a problem of some kind, and this goes for government agencies and also private companies as well, like the cable company or your cell phone carrier.
Hold your head up, buddy. Look at the camera.
The bureaucracy, the worse the service, the more difficult it is to actually talk to a human being. The more impossible it is to find someone who cares about your situation. And especially, the more impossible it is to find anyone who is accountable if a mistake is made. Because that's part of the reason, that's part of the point behind the enormous bureaucracies. It is to, the bureaucracy grows. Bureaucracies grow because they're cancerous tumors and all they can do is grow, right? Unless they're given some very harsh treatment. Otherwise, they're going to
Interesting theory.
They grow because that's what they do. But also they grow in order to insulate, it grows in order to insulate itself from accountability. The bigger, the more people.
Okay, so the Daily Wire has experienced rapid growth. Is it also a cancerous tumor? I would argue yes. Is it growing so that, Matt Walsh faces less accountability? Can we apply that to the Daily Wire?
Well, that there are involved, then the more difficult it is to pinpoint who is responsible for any one individual thing. And if you're just some sap calling on the phone, then it's going to be totally impossible for you. So it's quite the opposite. It's not better service when you add more bureaucrats. It is worse service always, every time. But speaking of service, you know the service that I want to see from the IRS? I would like to see the IRS disbanded. That's the service I want to see. Like self-destruction.
Tones, good evening.
Customer service.
We're having an issue with Twitch tonight. Twitch is not showing up. I have to look over here to see Twitch.
By the way, Colin Pruitt posted this interesting graphic from 2019. And this is pretty, I mean, this is stark here, okay?
But emotes show up. It's weird.
Where in the U.S. you're most likely to be audited by the IRS. And so you can look at it there. And of course, the darker red, then the more IRS, the more audits that they have in that particular region of the country. And what you see is that it's kind of fascinating that this is also basically a map of the red states. It's
it seemed like a map of everywhere but the Northeast.
The most poor people live. Now there are some exceptions, so there are a good amount of audits happening over in California, it would seem. But for the most part, you can see it there, then it's nothing but gray. You get up into the Northeast, and it's nothing but gray. It's fascinating how the Northeast corridor, which is Boston, New York, Philly, Baltimore, Washington.
All those motherfuckers in Connecticut, New York.
Even though that's where you're going to find the densest population in the whole country. That's where you're going to find a lot of rich people, too, living.
I agree with Walsh on this.
Down to DC. Not a lot of red there.
This is a base take, but I mean, like his spin on it about like, oh, they're targeting the red people, blah blah blah. No, it's targeting the poor people. It's targeting the poor people. Targeting the poor people. I'm done. This is as much Matt Walsh as I can take. Well, let's skip ahead. Let's see what he's got. He's got more. Oh yeah, let's watch this. Let's watch mom cheers on her son while pole dancing.
Stripper pole. The event where the shocking video is sourced was taxpayer subsidized. I think we have the video of that. Let's play the video here. Now, this video was posted, I think.
That is the most mundane video I've ever seen in my life.
Not a concerned citizen who happened to be walking by and saw this happen.
Hey, Matt Walsh, if that video is so disgusting, then why are you playing it on your show? If that is such an exploitation of a child, you didn't censor the child's face out or anything. It's almost like it was just a harmless video of just a child spinning around a pole. There are plenty of pole dancers that aren't strippers, sir. Are you not aware of this? Pole dancing is a whole thing outside of stripping. It's kind of an indictment of your mind that's the first place you take it concerning children. And it kind of makes you a bit of a pervert.
Happening. But was posted by the boys.
Yeah, Core, chat is broken tonight. I'm sorry.
TikTok. I think it's been taken down since then. That shows, by the way, the bubble these freaks live in. That she posted this video and didn't expect any backlash at all. I mean, she's got her young son on a stripper pole being taught how to strip.
Yes, she posted the video that you played without censoring the child or anything, because even it's mundane. And she did not expect any backlash. She did not expect some right-wing dumb fuck to put her on blast for absolutely nothing. And it's not a stripper pole, it's just a pole. Your fucking sick mind is the one that's adding the stripper to it. Being taught how to strip is not what's going on. There is no stripping involved anywhere in this. You're adding that, and that makes you the weirdo.
Strip by a almost entirely naked man at a gay pride rally. And she thought that she would get nothing but high fives and smiley emojis in response. And she got some backlash and then she deleted it. So she posted it and she said, Central PA Pride had a pole set up with an amazing instructor to assist. My kiddo is a natural. We hear about the groomers in the public school system. We hear about...
Oh my God! You're a groomer!
Hollywood and all these other institutions. And it is true that all these institutions do have a grooming problem, no question about it.
Oh no, you want to talk about a grooming problem? You want to talk about a grooming problem? I want to point something out. It's kind of low of me to go here, isn't it? But I don't care. I don't care. Where are we at here? Where are we at? Oh man, maybe I used my phone. And if I used my phone and posted it to Facebook. Here, you watch Matt Walsh. Let me find this.
The dark reality is that there's also a grooming problem in the institution of the family. Many of these
grooming problem in the institution of the family. That's exactly what I want to talk about. That's why I paused it. That's exactly what I want to talk about. Grooming problem in the institute of the family. You want to... Matt Walsh announced that his wife is pregnant yet again with twins, and this will be their second set of twins. This will be Matt Walsh and his wife's second set of twins. So do you know what that tells me? Because I'm an educated individual. I know stupid shit. And what having two children tells me about Matt Walsh. fucking, I can't even find, he announced that he was having twins. That tells me that he is popping fertility drugs in his wife. Twins are a very rare occurrence once. If you have 2 sets of twins, you're using fertility drugs, which increases the likelihood of having twins. Fertility drugs do. Look up Matt Walsh Children's. No, not his children's book. Matt Walsh Children. Well, damn, maybe I dreamed that he said he was having twins. I could have sworn I saw him announce it the other day. Jesus didn't care. I'm not going to take the time to find it. But that's grooming if you guys are having these gigantic fucking families, especially using fertility drugs. You know, hey, it's one thing if you have trouble conceiving and you use fertility drugs once to have a child. No, you keep using it over and over again, one increasing the likelihood of complications. There's something wild. Working, it could be. It could just be an act of God. He was blessed with a second set of twins.
Thinkable to those of us who are normal, decent people. It's like just
you're not a decent person, Matt.
That a parent would engage in this kind of activity. A parent would groom their own child in this way, but that's what a lot of these parents
do. Oh my God.
Which is all the more reason why the good guys have to step up and speak up for these kids, because they have no one. I mean, what chance or hope does this kid have?
The church has a grooming problem. You are correct, Ray.
I mean, someone should have showed up, and I get if you're a normal person, you don't even want to walk through an event like this, but were there no just bystanders who happened to be walking by and would have seen this and could have just...
There is nothing wrong with what's going on. Okay, we're gonna watch some of the comment section here. This is, for those of you just joining us, this is Matt Walsh's 1000th episode. Which is weird because Matt Walsh has been off for a while. He took like summer break. Come back for the 1000th episode and then was off again today saying he had laryngitis.
All right, lots of comments, and you might notice a theme in these comments. I don't know, it's a little bit subtle. But first comment is, you cannot just make a man a giant walrus and not give it to him. This is disgusting. Hashtag give Matt his walrus. Katie says, everyone at the Daily Wire needs to be arrested for causing Matt Walsh anxiety due to his lack of giant walruses. Crystal says, why can't I have my walrus? Matt is asking the real questions in life. Ross Carpenter says, knowing Matt's wife had never heard of Reddit is the best thing I've heard all week. Also, Matt, if you can't get your walrus, then I cannot support you as a theocratic dictator. Get it done. J. Sand Pizza Man says, if Matt doesn't show up on camera tomorrow with a giant plush walrus, the entire DW staff is canceled. Hashtag give Matt his walrus. The Magic Wish says, I couldn't stop laughing when Matt said, yeah, I want my walrus. Give the man his dang walrus. Dustin says, Matt, there's literally nothing more important in the world than getting your walrus. The sweep.
I mean, look at the beauty of the mountains behind him. I believe those are real.
Baby Gang shall not rest until DW fulfills its responsibility to our sweet daddy. Marcelo says, 1,000 episodes, second set of twins. What is a woman? Johnny the Walrus, 1 million subscribers. I mean, what's
deeply unfunny indeed. Give the man his walrus.
Well,
even I kind of want to see him get his walrus now, just because he's complained about it. Marcelo and Marciano split up. We already went over this.
My walrus, which I still have not been given. As you can see, you can look around in this beautiful studio, and there's lots of space in this studio. It is quite spacious. Okay, this is not my car anymore, and it's not the closet they had me in before. There's plenty of places where a walrus would fit.
Closet.
No walrus is here. I do appreciate how the Sweet Baby Gang has mobilized around this issue and spoken out so passionately about that. It is very meaningful to me, and I assure you that. But I'm going to need you to continue to cry out in one shared voice, give Matt his walrus. The giant stuffed walrus was made for me. It belongs to me by all rights. and I will have my.
I'm not exactly sure. Like, apparently there's been a walrus constructed, and they're like keeping it from him.
I will say
it wouldn't like in a dude bro place like Daily Wire. It wouldn't surprise me if like Jeremy Boring is like, "Ha ha, Matt, I have your walrus. You can't have it." And Matt's like a short little fuck, and he's like jumping up trying to get his walrus, and Jeremy Boring's like, aha, Matt, because like they fuck with Michael Knowles. Like they bash Michael Knowles all the time. That's like their whipping boy.
And I made the mistake, and I can't believe this is like a rookie mistake. I can't believe I did this, but it was just I'm so excited about the walrus and you know the knowledge that eventually I will be given it, and so I wanted to show my wife. I showed my wife a picture of the giant walrus and said, I'm bringing this home soon, okay? Once I find it, I'm bringing this home.
Where's it going to be, in your studios, or is it going home?
If I bring that thing home, I can no longer ever complain about all the pillows she buys. And I said, this isn't a pillow, it's a walrus.
That's fair enough.
And she said that the walrus will take up a lot more room than the pillows, though. And I said, well, that's incredibly reductive. Like,
the pillows are useful. The walrus isn't.
Room? There are many spaces in our home, many nooks and crannies that are not really being used for anything. Why shouldn't there be a walrus in those spaces? So the better question is not, like, the burden of proof isn't on me, okay? The better question is, don't ask me, well, why do we need this walrus? No, I think the question is, why don't we have one already? Okay, we've been married for almost 11 years, and through 11 years, not once have I brought a giant stuffed walrus home. And I bring one home in 11 years, and it's a problem? Makes no sense. Anyway, doesn't matter. I want my walrus, and I want it now, and I will have it.
I'm confused as whether you want it in your house or your office.
Matt Walsh Show. You know what they say, if you make woke leftists the object of your contemptuous ridicule, then you'll never work a day in your life. I think that's a saying somewhere. That's true of the show, and that's certainly true when it comes to my documentary, What is a Woman? It has more than 5,000 audience ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and even 5 reviews from critics who are brave enough to touch it. This month, the month that we released What is a Woman, the Daily Wire gained more members than at any other time in.
I would like to answer your question. What is a woman? Someone with predominantly feminine traits. Next.
Well, I wanted to leave a little extra time for this today. Important issue, slightly more important than the walrus, if anything could be. Back in May, a trans activist and influencer by the name of Eli Ehrlich announced a felony conspiracy on Instagram.
Well, content warning, some transphobia is coming at you, and I apologize for that in advance.
Ehrlich excitedly told 40,000 plus followers about a brilliant plan to
Did you say Jesus Christ, Core? Did you say Jesus Christ?
State laws banning doctors from prescribing hormones to gender-confused minors. Ehrlich's genius scheme, which was laid out in strenuous detail and remained published on Instagram for nearly 3 months before libs of TikTok finally noticed it and reposted it to Twitter.
Libs of TikTok.
Leftover prescription hormone pills and mail them to anyone who wants them. No questions asked, we're told. Here was the actual post. It said, there are over 20 states trying to criminalize hormone therapy, particularly for trans youth. So my friends and I had an idea, sending out our extra prescriptions around the country. If you need hormones, I'm working with a distribution network to get you access. Everything is free, no questions asked. We have hundreds of doses of testosterone, estradiol, and spironolactone, I think is whatever it is. All that is available right now. All are prescribed by doctors.
That sounds awesome, but that is also illegal.
Blood work, etc. I realize this is a Band-Aid solution. We need full access to affirmative medical care for professionals immediately. However, missing a single dose of hormones can be devastating, especially for trans teens and those new to hormones. These laws are outrageous, and I can't wait for them to be overturned. In the meantime, DM me if you need HRT or if you have overprescribed hormones that you'd like to send out. Now, in a response to a question posed by a follower, Ehrlich confirmed that this black market drug network can realistically ship to anywhere in North America, which means that the drug smuggling operation is international. This is not a new thing either. In September, Ehrlich made something of an anniversary post on Instagram celebrating 11 years on hormones in commemoration of the big event, and as a wise
Looks
old...
like a honeypot.
Dispensing morsels of wisdom, Ehrlich shared 11 mantras for hormone use.
And it could have been. It could have been.
Distribute your extra hormones.
I hadn't got that cynical.
/afford them. This mantra, by the way, was explained in a YouTube video posted.
It could have been like the feds trying to entrap people.
Here during the plea bargain phase at trial. Let's listen.
Every month for the past several years, I've ordered a double dose of hormones and testosterone blockers. I save all the extra pills for my best friends, my closest lovers, and my worst enemies. I just hope these little pills can bring some joy into their lives. I have the opportunity to give life-saving medication to people who need it, and it basically costs me nothing. A few months ago, I posted on Instagram asking for testosterone for a friend who actually already had a prescription. His doctor was out of town and he couldn't get a new one. Within hours, my story was taken down and I received a warning by the administrators. Now, of course, I know it's against Instagram rules to share substances, and I wasn't particularly surprised that it was removed. But I was still upset. So yeah, I know it's illegal, duh. So was changing my social security to female without medical treatment. So was crossing the street outside my apartment instead of using the crosswalk.
Oh, yeah. I mean, jaywalking is exactly like trafficking in prescription pills illegally, right? Now, in that video, having apparently only just developed this fetish for announcing federal crimes on the internet, Ehrlich was a little more cautious. There's a disclaimer, quote unquote, early on, claiming that the whole thing is merely hypothetical. But after getting a little taste of self-incrimination and having apparently enjoyed it so much, Ehrlich became far more brash and bold in subsequent pronouncements, leading up finally to the Instagram announcement in which the whole drug distribution enterprise is laid out in detail. Yet, as acknowledged in the clip that we just played, all of this is illegal. It is, in fact, so illegal that it would be impossible for me to count all the laws that it breaks. It is illegal to share your prescription medication with anyone who it was not prescribed for. It is illegal to facilitate the exchange of other people's prescription drugs. It is illegal to ship controlled substances through the mail. It is illegal to distribute drugs across state lines. It is illegal to send them to other countries. All of these drugs are illegal for anyone who is not a doctor or pharmacist to distribute, period.
It's also illegal for the president to remove classified documents from the White House. But you railed against the FBI going to obtain those documents, didn't you? That was the top of the show, wasn't it, Matt? Matter of fact, you called the FBI going and getting the documents back, not even arresting Trump. The DOJ declaring war on the entire right. You stupid fuck. Right-wingers are morons.
And for good reason. The substances being shipped across the country by Ehrlich's ragtag group of drug peddlers are
theocrat. What's his Twitter profile say? Theocratic fascist.
In participating in this scheme, not just participating, but organizing it, Ehrlich has violated dozens of state laws, federal laws, and international laws, making the perp here eligible for decades.
Well, that makes you a narc, sir, and that makes you worse than the person breaking the laws. Just saying. We don't narc around here, Matt Walsh.
Much less a raid by the DEA.
Fast shit indeed.
Well, because Eli Ehrlich is in a privileged class, the most privileged class that has ever existed in the West. That's why the confessed drug trafficker responded so bravely.
What, trans people? They're the most privileged class that's ever existed? Bull fucking shit. You piece of shit.
Any denial. Still to this point, no denial. None. Instead, Ehrlich defended the criminal activity, telling me that these drugs are life-saving medications, which is just more confirmation that you're doing what it appears that you're doing, which is illegally distributing the drugs.
Well, that poses a very ethical question. If I'm providing insulin to somebody who doesn't have insulin, that is indeed life-saving medication. Hormone therapy can be life-saving medication, indeed. So should you care that you're violating a law if you're providing somebody with insulin?
When I remarked that this response may be the first time.
No is the issue. I don't even care if you're providing hormone therapy.
It's an honor, Matt. Ehrlich also thanked us for advertising, quote unquote, the trafficking operation and fully embraced the label drug smuggler. Said it might go in the bio.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That Ehrlich was slightly less excited to embrace the label accused sexual abuser, threatening to sue me for libel when I reposted reports from other outlets noting that Ehrlich has, along with being a confessed drug smuggler, has indeed been accused of sexual assault by multiple alleged victims. And that's a fact. That's the news there. The accusation has been made. I don't know if it's true or not, but there was the accusation. So I suppose we can add the law to the list of things.
Who was the person making the accusation? Just some blog? Was it the Daily Wire?
But no surprise coming from someone who casually captions their selfies with criminal conspiracy confessions. But go ahead and file your lawsuit, Eli. Please do. I have a feeling that discovery might be a very interesting process. Now, Eli, I admit that you have some justification for being so brazen. After all, you've never been held accountable for anything in your entire life. You are privileged and spoiled, and literally never in your life have you been held accountable for anything. So why should that change now? I mean, why should justice catch up with you now?
How does it? You don't even know who this person is, you stupid fuck.
Why people like you skate by, enjoying your own set of rules.
You're describing Donald Trump, by the way.
The rest of us have grown to simply accept this absurd state of affairs. There's no reason why the system would punish someone like you if nobody even bothers to demand it, because we assume it's not going to happen.
Punish?
That assumption would be correct. Maybe nothing much will happen, even if we do demand it. Or maybe you would actually be made to face some sort of consequence for the first time in your life. Either way, we're going to find out. Because I am not going to simply accept that being trans makes you above the law. Even less am I going to accept that...
I'm not going to accept that being a Republican makes you above the law.
I'm not going to let this go or shrug my shoulders and say, well, nothing we can do, and move on. No. No more of that.
With his Just for Men beard.
Which are considerably greater than the resources at your disposal to make sure that justice is done here.
Oh, you know somebody's prettying him up.
Well, because you're distributing dangerous drugs to minors across the country, and this is only...
Dangerous drugs, my God.
Kids have many avenues for obtaining these substances without any doctor's approval, much less parental consent. This is what parents have to worry about now.
I am sorry that I have subjected you guys to this.
With the help of drugs they obtain through Instagram.
It's another 6 minutes. On his 1000th episode, he spent about 15 minutes on this poor trans kid. And that was less than he spent on the Donald Trump story that was the top story at the top of the show. Wow. Wow. But he knows that his audience really goes for the bigotry. You spent more time on the poor fucking trans kid than you did on like what you called your top. The DOJ declares war on the right. Matt, you're a piece of shit. But you know what's not a piece of shit? This animal video I have for you. Cats aren't pieces of shit. And I've got a cat video. You're gonna need a good cat video after Matt Walsh. This is a BBC feature about cats, I think on different continents. Ray says I've listened to worse than this. It's still bad. Yes, he's trying to ruin their life. Specifically targeting them. And also that kid. Innocent fucking kid that was pole dancing. Or it wasn't even pole dancing, just spun around the pole for a minute. Matt Walsh is a gigantic piece of shit. But you know who's not a piece of shit? Producer Dave. If you are watching on Twitch, you're going to head on over to the Intellectual Dollar Tree. It is HK and Producer Dave talking about all your favorite people, your Jordan Petersons, your Brett Weinsteins, your, shitheads like that. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. Hopefully when we're here tomorrow night, the Twitch chat actually shows up on the screen and shit. Good night, everybody.